What's going on, guys? Jesus here. I don't know why it's so chilly down here in Texas. Lord have mercy on us. But I thought of something real quick, and I think I wonder why I'm speaking through this mic with no headphones. Just because what's this? Much like ball hair. It's probably because I have magic. I guess, or it's this stupid effing computer. I guess being able to taking my audio without me actually having to record or whatnot. Granny Louisville could interest you in a dime and a nickel. Today we're gonna be, I guess, watching the Transformers G1. I don't know who made this. I don't know what person. You know what grinds my gears? Is when people disrespect the power of Jesus. And I've had people disrespecting my power. They think I'm just some open game for some prophets. Well, my hands must be a temple. With my hands must be a temple. Because these hands open my business. So come on. Try me out, honor you. Because you boys will take me for granted. You won't live to see it. Listen. Did you know who that was? It was me. Anywho. Yeah, let me grab a shirt on, I know. Alright. Yeah, my computer can take in audio even without the headphones. I'm probably still gonna put them on anyways, why not? Anywho, so today we're gonna be watching the complete history of Transformers, 1980s. G1 vintage. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with the 10-minute one.
I got something coming up. Something kind of big.
It just feels like the one.
Let's make it worth it.
Not that show. Oh, before we do, a special hat. We can't do YouTube without the special hat. Sorry about that. Okay, now we're good.
They hit the United States in 1984, but their history goes back a lot further than that. They were born in Japan, then repackaged for the United States. Oh, if only it were that simple. To tell this story, it's going to take Hasbro, Takara, Mattel, Marvel Comics, and of course, me and producer Greg. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of the Transformers, Volume 1.
What was that? That is not Megatron!
The Transformers were born in 1984 when Hasbro approached Marvel Comics with some new form-changing Japanese robot toys that they had recently licensed from Takara for the US market. Hasbro was hoping that Marvel could work the same kind of mythology-building magic that they had performed in 1982 with the successful relaunch of G.I. Joe. Jim Shooter, then editor of Marvel Comics, was told by a Hasbro executive that, quote, the Japanese storyline associated with the toys wasn't useful. Japanese kids apparently don't require much justification. Cars become robots, robots become cars, end quote. As if that in and of itself wasn't enough of a hook. Here, in the future, I already know about the existence of Transformers, but if you told me that you were going to start another new line of toys where the only gimmick was cars become robots, robots become cars, I would still be interested because it is useful. But Marvel believed in the greater emotional connection to original characters with personalities more than the strength of the form-changing gimmick. Fine. Plus, it was going to be way cheaper to create names and personalities.
That is very true. Actually, that's interesting. Yeah.
And it was going to be to engineer new toys from scratch. The Transformers is the name Hasbro gave to the collective line of transforming robots.
Whoa. Okay, why is that guy's face warped a bit? He looks sick. Okay, all right, Power Rangers. All right. Look at this.
Licensed from Takara. In Japan, it was actually two distinct but very similar lines, Diaclone and Microchange. Diaclone were robots that transformed into a variety of sci-fi space vehicles and later designs based on real-life cars. Microchange was a subset of the Microman line of figures that dates back to 1974. Microchange included robots that transformed into everyday objects to help the Microman heroes in their fight against evil. Of course, Microman was just a shrunk-down version of Takara's 12-inch Henshin Cyborg, which began in 1972.
Ew! Ew!
After Takara licensed the
Can't
G.I.
tell if
Joe
they're
body
backwards or
design from
forwards.
Hasbro. G.I. Joe began in 1964 when Hasbro tried to replicate the success Mattel was having with the Barbie business model. Sell the base figure and then sell lots of accessories that have a higher profit margin. Tracing the origin back that far means if you really love your Transformers, think a Barbie. Here's a quick and easy way to tell whether a G1 Transformer is from Microchange or from the Diaclone line. Tiny cockpits are Diaclone, everyday objects are Microchange. Optimus, the full-size cars, full-size jets, Insecticons, Diaclone. Megatron, Perceptor, Soundwave, Microchange.
Yeah.
That method only works until about 1986 because once the Transformers hits big, Takara decides to end both the Microchange and Diaclone line to focus on producing Transformers.
Oh, that's cool.
The Transformers introduced characters that have since become household names. Dennis O'Neil came up with the name Optimus Prime. Bob Budiansky filled in nearly everything else. Since 1984, Optimus Prime has been the noble leader of the Autobots and a
God bless that man. Amen. Amen. It will be a sad day when Peter Cullen passes away.
Self-aware being, but in Japan he was Convoy, essentially just another mech to be piloted onto the field of battle like a Gundam, a Robotech Valkyrie, or a Macross Veritech. Megatron began life as a quirky special edition.
I saw this earlier today. Look at that. That is nowhere near Megatron. It almost does look like
version of Gun Robo Walther P-38 designed to look like the gun from the TV show The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and that's his name. He's from the Microchange line, which meant he was really just providing backup and artillery for the Microman action figures, which were considered to be 1/1 scale at 3 3/4 inches. Gun Robo Walther P-38 U.N.C.L.E. edition doesn't have to worry about conservation of mass because that gun mode is how big he actually is. The bigger point here is if Marvel doesn't intervene and create new characters, you're watching movies about Convoy, the piloted mech suit the size of an actual real-life truck, and Uncle Gun Robo, who is the size of the actual G1 toy. It's a very short movie.
You got the touch.
Yep.
Hasbro and Marvel's approach to
Michael Bay should have done that. It's basically what happened when Transformers 1. That was a good movie, by the way. That was a really good movie. I saw it on YouTube. It was a really good movie. I did not hate it at all.
Marketing the Transformers was 3 parts, the same 3 parts they had used on G.I. Joe: toys, cartoon, and comic books. The Transformers comic book published by Marvel hit the stand.
So, what's interesting though, and I learned about this earlier today. So people thought that, oh, they never, the comics came like way after. No, they actually followed real quick after the toys. In a sense, you could argue the Transformers wasn't just the toys. It's kind of no better than how like Marvel started off as comic, but they quickly went to shows and whatnot. They've done it so quick to the point you could almost consider that it basically originated on multi mediums, if that makes sense. Like, when you do something so quick or it's so related that you might as well call it a part of that thing's history, I guess you could say. Like, you've had this person so close to you in life that you would actually call them like a family member. That's probably what it is. It's like the comic books and the shows obviously did not come out, weren't the first iteration of Transformers, but they were so early just as the toys came out that you could consider Transformers wasn't just birthed via the toys. That's what they're mainly known for, but in a sense, you could argue they were there in the comics, they were there in the shows too. So I mean, it's like Transformers wasn't founded just on the toys at this point. Historically speaking, yes, they started out as toys, but for how quickly they went to the other iterations, which also kind of like did a hot potato effect because then it grew more of Transformers. It's like you have an idea and then you lay it out and then that comes back to you with more ideas so you keep pumping out more. It's kind of like that because of the shows and the comics actually adding a story to it that helped even progress the development more. It's very interesting when it comes to writing, and I really like to see more of this stuff kind of done. But you could almost any 75 cents. Oh my god, if only we had those comic books aren't that expensive. They're like I usually go to a place Adventure Begins for like $5, I think. Yeah. It's not deeply expensive. It's not like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? Now, unless you're talking about the vintage stuff, yeah, that's ooh, you're for a whirlwind of trouble, buddy. My goodness, people will there would probably be like gangbangs and street fighting going on.
In May of 1984 and functioned as the first and only ongoing mythology for the line for 4 months before the cartoon aired on television. Since the writers of the comics and the cartoons were not
Hey, they already had Trypticon before they had
before the
Trypticon, didn't
cartoon.
they? So wait a minute. I was going to say this a little bit later on, but it's better to say it now. So wait a minute. So did they basically write most of the Transformers we know today? Surprised Marvel never really pulled that, oh, we helped make it, so we own it kind of card. You notice they've never really done anything Transformers. They've still been in like good partnerships, but they've never really done that bullcrap where they take it for themselves kind of thing because I did it. You know, which is very humbling, I guess you could say. It's the one humble thing about Marvel.
Aired on television. Since the writers of the comics and the cartoons were not collaborating, the general concepts of the comics could be found in the cartoon, but the storytelling was vastly different.
What the heck? Optimus Prime, Autobot Killer. Who's that guy? Hey, yeah, who is that guy? That's Ironhide. That's obviously Optimus. Who's that guy? What interesting art, by the way. Like how plain yet detailed it is. Very, very relaxing. It's not in your face about it. Interesting.
But after 7 years and over 80 issues of non-collaboration, the result was a comic book and cartoon that had distinctly different continuities. The comic began in May of '84. The cartoon began in September with a 3-part miniseries formally establishing the mainstream Transformers.
Wait, let me
began in September with distinctly different continuities. The comic began in May of '84. The cartoon began in September with a 3-part miniseries formally establishing the mainstream Transformers mythology. Autobots versus Decepticons, the Cybertronian War come to Earth, the 4 million years in sleep mode, their hunger for Earth's resources to be converted into...
You know, it's funny, I actually saw the first episode, and someone pointed it out. Basically, within that whole time sleeping, the Beast Wars, the entire thing happened. The entire series, from beginning to end of Beast Wars, all happened within that 14 or 4 million years span the Autobots were asleep. Which I had to say something about Beast Wars. Why were the dudes so small when they saw Optimus and Megatron? Like, I thought they were supposed to be the same size or something.
...into Energon. Season 1 began the following month in October and would run for 13 more episodes into December, providing all the push needed to move a crap ton of transforming robot toys over the holiday season. Transformers were an unstoppable astro train and would be...
They must have had animators overtime. My God.
Be renewed for a second season of 49 episodes from September of 1985 through January of 1986. History records that in 1986, the first Transformers feature film hit theaters. It featured an all-star cast including Orson Welles, Robert Stack, the Micro Machines guy, Eric Idle, Judd Nelson, and Leonard Nimoy. It had a soundtrack that never stopped a rockin'. Literally, there is music playing for every frame of that film. It cost $6 million to make, and what else was I going to say? Oh, right, they killed all the Transformers.
Yep. Killed
As we've designed our new KiwiCo Club's projects, we have been very thoughtful about the way that we introduce STEM. So first of all,
It is the year 2005, and
Yeah,
an
it was-
evil threatens the galaxy in the most incredible
Year 2005.
adventure you've ever seen.
After
Transformers,
all.
the movie.
Oh, I can't sing it. I'll get absolutely get copyrighted. Whoa.
Does Prime die?
Was he crying?
Then who would lead the Autobots? And what is the secret of the monster planet?
It's so big, so exciting, you got to see it twice to take it all in. Transformers, the movie.
Yeah, they had like the S word and the D word at the same time. Holy smokes. Okay, so when I usually hear cuss words, I usually think of the A or the H word, right? This movie flat out said like the H word, the D word, God knows whatever other words it said. I was watching with it me last night, and I'm just like, how on earth do you let that slide? Heaven forbid today's time.
Rated PG, open to theaters everywhere in 3 days.
Look, cartoons, Transformers included, had spent decades setting expectations for what could potentially be included in a story, what was in bounds and what was out of bounds. Death, permanent death, was not one of them. By the end of a 30-minute episode, everyone is supposed to be back to normal, ready to tell another disposable 30-minute story the next day. Transformers didn't even make back its budget on its US release, and I don't know, maybe that had something to do with bad word of mouth and lack of repeat viewing after everyone's childhood heroes were murdered before their childhood eyes.
Ron, Prowl, who also are pretty popular characters too. It's not just Optimus. I want to make that clear too. I do like the other Autobots. In fact, those guys probably got a lot of attention before nowadays. Because when you hear about Prowl, when you hear about Ratchet or whatnot, it's just
Didn't even make back its budget on its US release. One of them. By the end of a 30-minute episode, everyone is supposed to be back to normal, ready to tell another disposable
Yeah, so
30-minute
Braun?
story the next day. Transformers didn't even make back its budget on its US release, and I don't know, maybe that had something to do with bad word of mouth
Prowl.
and lack of repeat viewing after everyone's childhood heroes were murdered before their childhood eyes. You see things a little differently
And
after
then Ratchet
that.
and Ironhide.
After everyone died in the movie, the new era of the Transformers began. The business idea was to cycle out the product that was no longer being manufactured and bring in a new wave of characters to keep the line fresh and healthy. From a business perspective, that is obvious and makes sense. It was the right move at the
and my thing is, and normally I would be all like, "How dare they?" It's business. I get it. 100% I get it. It is business that if that's what they have to do, that is what they have to do. But my God, could you kill off someone else that wasn't Optimus Prime? Could you kill? Okay. Yeah. So did you know there's actually a kid who actually stayed in his room for weeks on end after seeing Optimus die? Yeah. People, you heard that right. There was a kid who was so depressed that his hero, his practical father figure, practically, for all children of the 1980s, basically locked himself in a room for a couple weeks. That is heartbreaking. That's honestly heartbreaking. On top of the many other kids who came out of the movie theaters crying. It's sad.
time. Where Hasbro misread the audience was that the mythology that they had sold their product on had become real and valuable. The audience
Yes.
had grown up with these characters over those very formative 3 years. To remove their favorite characters from the series was to remove their interest in the line altogether. Live by the mythology, die by the mythology.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime, RC, Cup, Galvatron, all important characters in the ongoing mythology, but even Hasbro had to admit that they had made a mistake in killing Optimus Prime. After a letter writing campaign that I would love to see samples of, Hasbro brought Optimus Prime back in a 2-part season finale called The Return of Optimus Prime in 1987, and they've never killed him off again since.
You got the touch.
No, because he died again.
Got the power.
Wait, what? Okay, yeah, it's a Transformers movie. Oh, well. Oh, yeah.
Generation 1, as it is now referred to, ended in 1990 in the United States, but continued on through 1993 in Japan. Several factors contributed to the end of the era. Most of the
Sorry.
original audience had grown up and moved on to things like sports and jobs and cars, maybe higher education. I don't know what they were doing. Transformers transforming were a toy gimmick in and of themselves. The puzzle nature, the duality of the toy was the initial selling point, the way to attract the attention of 10-year-old consumers. The mythology was what Hasbro hoped would keep that attention. When properly saturated, even a kid's interest in transforming robots can wane. So from the beginning, Hasbro had to keep the pressure on Takara to keep delivering variations on that transforming gimmick. Dinosaurs, construction vehicles, bugs, triple changers, sextuple changers, fortresses.
Okay, he said something that was not.
Robots with heads that change into other robots. Robots with guns that change into other robots. Robots who hide inside organic shells to conceal their transforming robot bodies. And eventually Transformers action figures that didn't even transform. A sign that the brand had transcended the form-changing gimmick to be recognized as a proper name, a species, a pop culture icon in and of itself, no longer centering the characters over the form-changing gimmick. But at that point, by the 1990s, the market was pretty heavy.
Alright, I think that's enough for this video. It's almost at the end of it. Let's watch a cringe. Something. What on earth? 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 See, look at this pinhead. There we go. Something. Oh. You're not cool, buddy. You are not cool. Also, balls. So the whole video was in bad quality. Awesome. I was so busy doing the skit. My bad.
You crazy. Down boy. Look at your best face.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Oh. We're tramping through the bush.
Oh my god. Get this mouse out of here.
Yes, Poco. Dobre utro, Poco. Buongiorno, Poco. Bom dia, Poco. And she says, Buongiorno.
Okay, and before people, if anyone ever sees this video, before you say racist, I don't know if this lady's Asian or not, I don't know. Okay, what I mean is, she actually has, like, massive buck teeth and big cheeks. So before anyone goes on and say, Asian are racist, Asian are racist. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Buongiorno, Poco. Bom dia, Poco.
Okay, hold on. You. Skip. Whoa. That is not cringe. That was the most awesome Sigma power ever.
Turn it off.
냐, 1, 2, 3, 냐, 아리가또. 냐, 1, 2, 3, 냐, 아리.
Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, What was this? Effing rat people.
Someone said I'm not a real cat. That hurt. Ask the human to pop me a Chucky cat milk. Chucky cat milk make pain.
Nope. 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 Ask for help, Linda. Oh my god. Kane, just drop a steamer on my mouth, please. Kane, I don't know what you're gonna do, but just please. You want to go back to the circus? That's fine. Just drop a steamer on me, for God's sake. Just someone ruin me, absolutely violate me, dominate me, baptize me. I don't care. Jesus.
And go away.
Thank you.
I was busy thinking about Mexico.
That's what a Sigma would look like.
Throw it up. Start twerking like Miley. Twerking like
Don't understand. I don't want a gay test. Why am I seeing this ad? Well, bye-bye, folks. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with people, man. Later.